Because we think this world is the all in all, we hold on to any sense of security, happiness, fulfillment. We hold on to it for all life to try to make sure it doesn't escape us. And then it escapes us. And then we become frustrated. So much. So today I was given the topic, the weapon of detachment. Is it?
The secret.
The secret of detachment. Okay. Weapon is a bit. Today, dear friends, we are talking about detachment. How does the word, when I say the word detachment, if I was to ask you in one word to describe how that word makes you feel, what would you say? Detachment.
Not favorite.
Three. Okay, good. Release.
Ouch.
Ouch. Thank you for being honest.
Anything else?
Safe. Is that safe? Okay. This side of the room?
Pain.
Pain. Letting go.
Separation.
Separation. Yeah. We often think of detachment, relationship, separated from someone, something.
Impossible.
Impossible. Yeah, it seems that we are so apt to getting attached to everything we have some exposure to. Detachment is a necessary life skill in this world, because whether we like it or not, everything changes in this world. Have you noticed? The one constant in the world is change. Over time, your body will change. Over time, your position in this world and your abilities will change. Over time, your relationships will all change. Over time, the world around you will change. I became a monk when I was 21, and for many years I would go home periodically to see my parents, and I would always go past my old school, and I'd be like, one day I'm going to go back there just to relive, the good old days. And then when I was about 28, I remember driving home once, and I was going to see my parents, and I drove past my whole school, and the whole school had been bulldozed. And I tell you, when I saw it, my heart sunk. I was like, that was a museum of memories. And all just gone into rubble. Because the theme of this world is that everything ultimately disappears. Change is unpredictable. You don't know when it's going to happen. Change is unstoppable. You can't do anything to make it not happen. And change is uncontrollable. You can't try to say like, okay, I agree there will be change, but can it happen in this way? No. It's unpredictable, unstoppable, and uncontrollable. Therefore, if there's one life skill that we need to learn in our journey of life, it's how to deal with change. And therefore, the ancient sages talk about detachment as an incredibly important life skill. Because either you let it go, or it will be snatched away from you. Which one did you like? Once there was a king, and the king, he had kept some of his subjects prisoner. These things happen. And one day he said to the prisoners, I'm going through so many ups and downs in my life. But I want to play a game with all of you guys, and if you're able to get it right, I'll set you free. And he said to all of his prisoners, I want one of you to give me a gift. And this gift, when I'm sad, it should make me happy. And this same gift, when I'm happy, it should make me sad.
Good.
There's a riddle for you. What gift could you potentially give someone which when they're happy, it makes them sad, and when they're sad, it makes them happy? There you go. One for you to think about. For a small fee, I'll tell you the answer. With major credit cards accepting. So they all went around. Wow, this is fascinating. What could it possibly be? And then one person, he came. He said, I know the one gift that I can give you, which will make you happy when you're sad, and sad when you're happy. So he came to the king. He said, I got it down. You're going to be convinced on this one. He said, this better be good. And then the man pulled out a jewel box. He opened the jewel box and there was a ring. And he presented to the king. The king was like, what, you're proposing to me or something? What's the meaning of this? He said, this is the gift you were looking for. He said, what, a ring? How does that make me happy when I'm sad? I've got everything. I've got a whole treasury. And how does it make me sad when I'm happy? I don't understand. The person said, look closer. The king picked up the ring. And on the ring there was a line. A few words. And what were the words? This too shall pass. He said, put this on. And when you're happy, it will make you sad. And when you're sad, it will make you happy. For a small fee, we're selling these rings today if you'd like to participate. Maybe I should have done that. This too shall pass. This is something which in this beautiful book, Bhagavad Gita, this is a really ancient book of wisdom, many of you are familiar. It's 5,000 years old, it's written in Sanskrit, and this copy has particularly small writing, but I'll still try and read it to you. So this is very, very fascinating because Krishna is almost like the mastermind of wisdom. He just comes out with all of these amazing things in the Bhagavad Gita which are so pertinent but so profound simultaneously and so practical. And so what? This is the very first piece of wisdom that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. And I'll read the verse in Sanskrit just so you get a little bit of taste of what Sanskrit sounds like. Krishna says, Matra sparshas tu konteya sitoshna sukadukada agama paina nityas tam stitikshashva bharata. Sometimes if we understand the simplest things, it can have the most seismic and paradigm-shifting effects in our life. So what does Krishna say? The non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress are like the appearance and disappearance of the winter and summer seasons. The wise person, equipped with knowledge, must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says that happiness and distress are coming like seasons. When it's winter, you can understand spring is around the corner. And when it's autumn, you can understand winter is around the corner. In other words, seasons are not permanent. They come and go. They go in their cycles. They come one after the other. And in the same way, the constant theme of the world we're living in is happiness and distress. This too shall pass. When we're in a happy situation, we can understand, yes, probably some difficulty is around the corner. But isn't that negative, pessimistic thinking? And someone may say, well, when you're happy, when you're sad, don't worry, something good is around the corner. Isn't that optimistic thinking? No, this is not optimism or pessimism. This is realism. Because the nature of the world, according to ancient spiritual literatures, is that it's balanced with a perfect amount of happiness and distress. Why? The odds are stacked against me. Are you saying I can't do anything to escape distress? Why can't I have a life only of happiness? Because the ancient wisdom literatures teach us this world is perfectly imperfect. It's imperfect in the sense that there is always this constant flux of happiness and distress, of order and upheaval, of fulfillment and frustration, of ups and downs, of success and failure, of honor and dishonor. The constant duality is constantly running in this world. And in that sense, it's imperfect because you can never make the situation you want. But it's perfectly imperfect. Why? Because according to the ancient sages, this world is wired in such a way to help us realize that there's a reality beyond this world that we have the opportunity to approach, that we have the opportunity to connect with. And therefore, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, learn to tolerate the things that are happening in this world. Learn to be detached. Don't become too elated when there is happiness, and don't be too disappointed when there is challenge, because this too shall pass. It comes and it goes. When I first read this verse, I first read the Bhagavad Gita when I was 15. And this concept of tolerating happiness, I was like, why in the world would you have to tolerate happiness? I mean, that's what we're looking for, aren't we? And so I went to one of the monks and I said, I don't get this concept of tolerating happiness. He said, just as you tolerate distress, you have to tolerate even happiness. Because the happiness and distress of this world are not actually the real emotions that we seek to experience. There is a deeper sense of fulfillment and spiritual satisfaction that goes beyond material happiness and that goes beyond material distress. And the goal of life is to find that, what is beyond the duality of this world. But he said, you can only find that if you're ready to let go of this. So most people are not able to find detachment in their life because we have no concept of a reality beyond this world. Because we think this world is the all in all, we hold on to any sense of security, happiness, fulfillment. We hold on to it for all life to try to make sure it doesn't escape us. And then it escapes us. And then we become frustrated. But for the spiritualists, they understand this is just a perfectly imperfect world. And there's something beyond all of this. So why would I take this world so seriously? Yeah. One of the monks said to me, don't take the illusion too seriously. It's like a kid playing a computer game. Yes. Grand Theft Auto. That's a dodgy game. You can run over Hare Krishnas in Grand Theft Auto and you get extra points, bonus points. That's a travesty.
You feel like that.
Don't run over. So it's like a kid playing a computer game and they're so into like, oh no, I can't believe it. So the kid is like so into the computer game and the parents are watching behind and they're almost just like laughing, like this kid's taking it so serious. It's a computer game, like virtual reality. But the spiritualist is looking at the parents thinking the same thing about them. The parents are looking at the kid thinking, what's this kid doing? He's playing a computer game. I mean, there's a reality outside of this. And the spiritualist is looking at the parents who only know about this reality and looking at them thinking, why are they taking this all so seriously? Don't they know there's something out of this? In other words, in this world, it's not about trying to solve all your problems, but rather it's about expanding your consciousness so that you can absorb all the problems. For example, is a bottle of water. Imagine I put a palm full of salt in this water and I drank it. You know what it's going to taste like. But imagine I filled this whole room up with water and then I put a palm full of salt. Nothing. You wouldn't perceive anything. Not because you took the salt out of the equation, but because you expanded the volume of the water. The basic problem in the world is that people are trying to take the salt out of the equation. That, dear friends, is a formula for failure. But fear not. You can do it another way. You can expand the volume of your consciousness. You can expand your horizons. You can expand your vision of life. And when you do that, then you begin to look at all the palmfuls of salt and all the things that went wrong. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. Into way. And it all is so heartbreaking. But then when we've expanded our consciousness, all of a sudden it looks very, very different. All of a sudden we're able to just say, don't take the illusion too seriously. But that, dear friends, is a great art. Can you tell me, how do I expand my consciousness? Sounds great. Can you tell me? Can I do it now? We can begin. That's why we're all here. That's why we switch off, turn away, disconnect, close our eyes, and try to see whether we can find something beyond. And as we continue searching, as we continue exploring, as we continue in a disciplined and dedicated and determined and desirous way to find what there may be beyond the perfectly imperfect world, then we begin to discover another reality of consciousness, another reality of functioning. And there we rest in that sacred space and then look down at this world and still see it, still function, still live here, still do everything else everyone is doing, but we're not involved in the dogfight. In the race, but not a rat. Not in the rat race anymore. Not trying to keep up with the Joneses. Not trying to get one over another person here. Not affected by the ups and downs and the inevitable dualities, but focused on another space of consciousness. So in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, I'll wrap up soon, just giving you a few minutes to think of whether you have any questions or comments. You can begin thinking. In the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that this world is a reflection. If you imagine a beautiful banyan tree, and then a river And then there's a reflection of the banyan tree. So what Krishna says in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is that this world is a reflection. It's a photocopy. It's simply an imitation. Imagine if you try to go into the reflection of a tree and pull out a fruit. You just get wet. And so, this world is not unreal, but it's insubstantial. And everything we search for in this world can be found in its true form, but in the spiritual reality. And therefore, in the ancient Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, with the sword of detachment, one should cut down the illusory form of the tree and situate them back into reality. So this world is a transit lounge. We're here for some time. Just passing through. I don't know if you ever watched Mr. Bean. Did they have that in South Africa? Mr. Bean, right? So Mr. Bean checks into the hotel room, and then what does he do? He unpacks his luggage, then he gets all his family photos out. And then he starts putting his family photos up every day. And then he's like, there's no ensuite bathroom. So he gets out a chainsaw and he chains through the wall. Okay, now I got an ensuite bathroom. And then he makes all these changes, and then over the door he puts home, sweet, home, sweet. And it's completely crazy because he's just in a hotel for some time, checking out in a couple of days. So we're here, checking out soon. Don't take the illusion too seriously, because the Bhagavad Gita says there's another reality that we can connect with, and that helps us to absorb all the difficulties. Don't try to set things right. Just try to see things right. In this world, if you try to set it all right, you're fighting a battle which can't be won. But you can see things right. And that means to see through the eyes of detachment. Thank you very much. These were some thoughts on detachment. We share this with you. I'm a monk. People are like, it's all right for you, you're a monk. You don't live in this world. But even as monks, it's so easy for us to get attached to things. When I was 21, I finished university and I decided to take a different journey. I went traveling to India and I became a monk. And over the years, I realized that it's not actually so much about your external situation. You can be a monk, or you can be a family person, or you can be single and happy. You can have a job, you can be a student. You can live in any walk of life that feels natural to you. None is inherently more spiritual than the other. However, whichever life you accept, it's incredibly important to learn this art of letting go. Because whether you're a monk or a mother, everyone is going to have to let go. Because everything is temporary. And therefore, so much of the Bhagavad Gita is preparing us for this inevitable reality, to face it with grace and resilience. Okay, I'm just giving you guys like extra time because I would like to hear from you. Otherwise, it's just a monologue from me. Then we may not get the full benefit. So I think we have like 5 minutes or so before we move on. 5-10 minutes. So if anyone, it doesn't have to be a question. Perhaps you just want to share something that comes to your mind. Does it sound practical? Does it sound unrealistic? Yes.
Swamiji, what about fairness and justice?
What about fairness and justice? In other words, when you see injustice in the world, when you see people doing things wrong or things going wrong, should you just be detached and leave it, or should you get into it? Is that what you're saying?
I care about this.
You care about something.
For example, somebody took 400,000, and I want to get justice on the matter. And
be detached.
it's not a lot.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, thank you for bringing this up. It's such an important point. Like, we're faced every day in the world with situations. And now here I've given you some very transcendental vision that it's all just the illusion and just focus on. And then, some guy comes and, I don't know, the thief is in your house or something, just like, oh, anyway, perfectly imperfect after all. The Swami said. See, we're in this world. We have to make efforts. We have to make endeavors. We have to try our best. Justice is important, because even people who are doing things which are immoral, unethical, if we don't do anything, then they become implicated in their own bad activities. And therefore, spiritualists, they're not indifferent to the world. Spiritualists are not dysfunctional in the world. It's not that spiritualists are so detached that they don't have anything to do with this world. But it means that they act in this world, they do their duty, they try their best, but they're detached in the sense that they know, once I've tried my best, I have to step away and accept whatever the outcome is. So the detachment comes after the endeavor. The detachment doesn't come before the endeavor. If the detachment comes before the endeavor, that's irresponsibility. But when the detachment comes after the endeavor, that's spiritual consciousness. I did my bit. I tried to rectify the situation. Now I leave it in the hands of providence. It's between you and them. And that brings you a lot of peace. Otherwise, if you try to control everything in this world, you'll drive yourself up the wall. Because soon you'll realize you can't control anyone. We can't control other people. We can't control our spouse. What to speak of that? We can't even control our own mind. We can't control. But what we can do is endeavor and then step back. This is known as karma yoga. Act with detachment. Don't just detach. Don't just act, but act with detachment. And that Krishna says, yoga karmashu kaushalam. This is the art of living.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well,
So go for the 400,000. Was it?
yeah. Go through.
If you get it, give me a clap. And if you don't, so be it.
Me.
Dalai Lama once said, not getting what you want is sometimes an amazing stroke of good luck.
Perfect. Like. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Tell me,
Okay.
you say that Bhagavad Gita is the word Krishna. Not really trust the contents of Bhagavad Gita. I mean, that it is the word. How do we know also that it's not biased, and how do we know it's ordered to trust?
So whenever we approach any literature, there's always a question of trust. Why should I trust this? It's a book. It's just someone's writing. How do I know it comes from some divine source? In anything, faith is required. Whether it's reading a spiritual book, whether it's stepping onto a plane, whether it's buying a medicine from the chemist, whether it's getting married. Did you do a criminal record check before you got married on the person, just in case? No, fake. She looked good. He was handsome. So everything in life requires faith. There's a dichotomy in the world that faith is opposed to knowledge. No. Faith is the foundation of knowledge. Because when you put faith in something, it allows you to experience. In life, if you didn't have faith, life would be dull, dull, dull. Because you wouldn't be able to experience the totality. But the moment you put faith in, you begin to explore an unknown reality. So, the Bhagavad Gita is something which we have to now question, should I put faith in it? So there was an American psychologist once, his name was William James, and he said there are certain options in life, but not all options are live options. He said for something to be a live option, it has to be practical, probable, and beneficial. For example, I could tell you, what's your name? Ananta. I could tell you, Ananta, I know the true way to be happy. Run into the car park and every red car, which is an estate, I want you to smash the windscreen with a sledgehammer. It's an option. But it's not a live option. Because is it beneficial? Is there some logic of benefit in that? It just doesn't, where's the logical, philosophical connection? It doesn't make sense. Is it practical? Is it something you could do without an immediate negative ramification? No, because you're probably going to get arrested. And number 3, is it probable? Have you ever seen anyone in their life doing that, deriving any kind of major benefit? No. So if it's not probable, if it's not practical and not beneficial, it may be an option, but it's not a live option. So there are certain things in life which are live options. The Bhagavad Gita is beneficial. It makes sense. You're a spiritual being. Materially, the body is a machine. This world is not our true home. There's something beyond. There's so many logical points which point to that kind of blueprint of reality. Not just that, it's practical. You can read it, you can practice it, and you're not going to lose anything immediately. You only have so much to gain. And number 3, it's probable because thousands and millions of people have been absorbing this wisdom and gaining incredible spiritual traction in their lives. And therefore, what we tell people is that you don't have to believe the Bhagavad Gita blindly. But if you put some faith in something which is a live option, it could open you up to something much greater. So we say don't have blind faith in the Bhagavad Gita, but at the same time don't have blind doubt. Because did you know, blind doubt is just as dangerous as blind faith. Because if you have blind faith in the wrong thing, bad news. But if you put blind doubt in something that may have substance without a decent exploration, you may also find you missed out. And so what we share with people is become a spiritual scientist, explore it, try it out, put the Bhagavad Gita on trial, and see if something comes of it. And many eminent people, Einstein, Gandhi, Thoreau, so many people, Will Smith, so many people read the Bhagavad Gita. So I think that argument that you're making could be said against anything. Yeah, in other endeavors in life, we still went on the journey. Therefore, why not become a spiritual scientist and see what could be discovered on the journey? Does that help? Thank you. Yes.
Sometimes detachment can come across as neutrality. How does detachment and love coexist?
That's why I said, first there must be endeavor, and then the detachment must come. For example, if you have children, then you do everything you can for them. You love them, you guide them, you give them the best opportunities possible. And then at the end of the day, you have to be detached, because they have a mind of their own. Isn't it? They have a mind of their own, and they're going to go on and live their lives. But if you've made your endeavor, if you've given them everything you can, and then you become detached, they will never feel it to be cold or impersonal or you being uninterested. Because they've known you've given the best of yourself, and now you're also giving them the opportunity to accept it for themselves. And that's where real love comes. So actually, people think when I'm detached, I won't be able to have loving relationships. But when you're detached, you can actually have the most loving relationships, because you're not trying to coerce or force, or you don't have any expectation of anyone. But you just do the best you can, and then you let them decide what they want to do. So the detached people actually have the best opportunity of having the most beautiful relationships. One US president says, "It's amazing what you can achieve when you don't care who gets the credit." So when you're detached, you can do amazing things. And when people sense your detachment, they don't sense it as an indifference, but they sense it as your spiritual accomplishment and you realizing your boundaries, and it actually makes them love you more. Is that okay? Thank you. Anyone from this side? They're detached. Yeah.
I think times when you hear people criticize the concept of karma, very much to the reason because they feel that we so detached in the sense that you can always decide because your something bad happens to you, or even a crime might happen, you say, because it was just karma. So how do you reconcile that there is still some responsibility in the act?
Yeah. They say there's a new restaurant in town, it's called Karma. But there's no menu, you get what you deserve.
And I get caught.
Yeah, so sometimes people criticize us because they say, "Oh, you guys, you believe everything is karma, so that means you lose your heart." Because you look around and you say, well, they're going through it, they deserve it, it's down to their own activities. That's not exactly how karma works, because what we understand is that, yes, we're all going through certain things right now according to our previous activities, that's for sure. Nothing's random, nothing happens by chance. However, the spiritualist realizes nobody should suffer, because nobody should be subjected to the pain and suffering and upheaval of this material world. And therefore, detachment doesn't mean you can't have the heart of compassion. Detachment means to understand with a cool head why people are suffering. But it also means that on a deeper level, the spiritualist wants to actually help people to come out of their sufferings. Therefore, you find the greatest spiritualists who have the most amount of detachment come into the world and are the most active in trying to help relieve people's suffering. In the ancient scriptures, there's a Sanskrit aphorism, para dukkha dukkyu, which means a spiritualist experiences someone else's pain as though it's their own. They don't look at someone and say, just karma. Yes, it's karma, but you shouldn't be going through karma because you're a spiritual being. and that you are going through karma, it is painful, and it's just as painful for me as it is for you. And therefore, let's work together to try and get out of this pain. That's how a spiritualist looks at it. So detachment doesn't lack compassion. Detachment doesn't bring a hard heart. Detachment doesn't bring insensitivity, but rather it brings a cool head by which one has the compass of knowledge to be able to actually help people. We tell people when the passion to serve is combined with the compass of knowledge, then the compass plus the passion means it's compassion. Whereas other people, yes, I feel so much pain for you, so much pain, a lot of passion to serve. But the cool head of detachment and the compass of knowledge to understand the ways and means by which that suffering is coming about, that's missing. And therefore it's not true compassion, because they're not situated in a place of knowledge to actually help people. Therefore, detachment should actually make you, true detachment should make you near compassionate. Does that help? Thank you, Mark. All right, I think we've gone on quite some time, and I understand there are more parts to the program. Thank you so much for your attention and for your kind participation and for your attendance. Look forward to connecting with you all again soon. Thank you very much.